In this video, I'm going to tell you how expats can end up devastated in the Philippines due to several factors that they never planned on, which really they should have. Some guys go to the Philippines with the idea of retiring in paradise, whether it be as a single man or with his Filipino girlfriend or wife. But circumstances change as time goes by and things don't work out as he once hoped or planned. So if you're thinking of living or retiring in the Philippines, then buckle up and be sure to stay with me here. I've heard about many foreign guys who go to the Philippines with high hopes, only to return to their homeland within a few short years. And equally, I've heard of many other foreigners who have been living in the Philippines for many years very happily. And for some foreign guys, they go to the Philippines and can be left absolutely devastated and destitute, living on the streets and begging for money. When I first saw this, I wondered how that could possibly happen. How can such a guy go from owning a house in his country to living on the streets in a developing country? As I looked more into each situation, it became clear that there were three factors these people failed to consider carefully. The first factor was that they failed to go to the Philippines to scout various possible areas to live in and to gauge the cost of living in each area. One must know that cities and province areas in the Philippines can be different as far as lifestyle goes. So you need to have an idea of what sort of lifestyle you want when in the Philippines and then find a place to live in that will meet all your needs so you can live there happily for many years. Do you want to live in a city where the cost of living is generally much higher than in the province areas? Do you intend on eating out at restaurants once a week or several times a week, or are you happy to cook your own food? Do you want to explore the Philippines, or are you happy just staying in one place? And the list goes on, and you'll need to answer all these questions and more to have a clear idea of the city or province that will suit you. Many fail to go and explore potential areas in the Philippines that they want to experience firsthand before making such a huge move. And I'm talking about going there for a good 3 months and choosing 3 or 4 locations and spending a few weeks in each just to get more of a feel. I'm blown away when I hear of guys who move to the Philippines without spending much time there, or even in some cases, they've never even been to the Philippines. So of course, if one isn't prepared around this and knows exactly what he's getting into, then he isn't getting off to a good start. And if he doesn't know the cost of living in each area, then how can he accurately forecast a budget to live on? Unless, of course, money is no object and he can travel at will until he finds a place that suits him. The second factor I found was that many of these guys never had a real plan A, B or C prior to packing up and moving to the Philippines. Many just have one focus and one plan and never really look at what may go wrong over the years that they'll spend there. Too many guys go there and rely on the bare minimum budget. In other words, they may be just relying on a pension of say $1,200 to $1,500 a month with very little savings to fall back on. They fail to look at the possible health issues or medical treatment that may be required where the cost could really eat into their savings. I guess they're more hoping that nothing like that will ever happen, which is a big gamble to take. But what many of these guys fail to do is to create an exit plan just in case for any reason they need to leave the Philippines in a hurry. And of course, there could be a multitude of reasons why they need to get out in a hurry. Anything from you getting seriously ill and needing better medical treatment in your country, or perhaps a relative back home is in a bad way, or sadly has even passed away. Political unrest could make it not the best place for a foreigner to be, and so he may need to leave. Down to possible legal problems, or breaking up with your girlfriend or wife, and your money is now extremely limited. As you can see, there are so many possibilities to consider that I can't possibly go through them all. But for someone making such a big move, these are the types of things that you need to consider and plan for. But the most common reason that many foreign guys can end up devastated in the Philippines is because he gets involved with the wrong type of Filipina and comes out the other side in a very bad situation. His problem here was that he went to the Philippines to either be with his girlfriend that he met online, or he found a Filipina whilst there. Not realising that she really isn't into him, but more so his money, he invests rather heavily into things like property, businesses, and of course, the girlfriend's always asking for money, jewellery, clothes, and so on. Simply, the man always has his hand in his pocket, not just for his Filipina, but also, most likely, for her family. So now that he's bought land, a house, a business, and perhaps even a motorcycle or car, his savings are now starting to run rather low. He thinks that because he has a house and a little business to supplement his income, that he'll be fine. But here, what he doesn't realise is that he's thinking like he's in his own country and not in the Philippines where a foreigner can't own land. So the land and subsequently the house the land is on is in his girlfriend's name, so it's not likely he'll get anything back when they split. And of course, the business was given to the family, so that's also gone. After the Filipina has gotten all she needs from such a foreign guy, she splits up with him and asks him to move out. And of course, she then moves her family in. He now has very little savings and is relying totally on his monthly pension to get by. And if something goes wrong in his country where they pay his pension from for any reason, and his payments stop, which can happen for a variety of reasons, it's not such a simple fix from the Philippines, and it could take some months to correct the problem. By this time, the guy has no money and has no savings, and could be on the streets begging for money, as we do see from time to time in the Philippines. This is why creating that exit plan that I spoke about earlier is vital. And to add to that, what's also necessary is to have at least $20,000 in a bank account that you can get access to very easily within the Philippines. This is money that you can never touch until you leave. This will enable you to fly home and to have some money to recommence your life when you get home. Where so many of these foreigners can come unstuck is that they sell everything up, including their house that they've worked hard for all their life in their home country before going to the Philippines. If things go wrong, as I've mentioned in this video, then you'll find that you'll burn through that money at a very fast pace. Now, of course, all of this can be avoided if planned very well from the start, which I see from the guys who have retired there and are very happy after many years. Simply, those guys had a solid plan or three and also had an exit strategy should they ever need it, because they realised how they could be very easily left devastated in the Philippines if they weren't careful. And I'll leave you with this thought, that it's better to overplan than to underplan when moving full-time to any foreign country. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.